episode 10 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. And this is our first ever theme, I guess you would call it. And
Yeah.
it's our casserole episode. And basically what that means is we're going to just try and talk about everything or whatever comes to mind. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, are you fucking kidding me? You guys only have 10 episodes in, and you guys lazy fucks didn't come up with a theme for this episode. And no, we're not lazy fucks. We actually tried thinking really hard and couldn't come up with anything. So there, fuck you.
That's right. Screw you guys. This was our plan all along.
Yeah,
you just didn't know.
We just knew on episode 10 we would not. We would want to talk about everything. So
double digits, bitch. All right, cool.
So
well, okay. So last week, we talked about Walking Dead, and the sucky thing about recording that was that we missed out on the second episode that we could have been able to talk about.
Right.
And so you caught it, right? You caught it the other night.
Yep, I'm all caught up on The Walking Dead.
Sweet.
So,
what'd you think about spoilers, everybody? What'd you think about Rick and Michonne hooking up?
I kind of was waiting for it. Like, I forget which season or which episode that I remember there. I thought there was a little chemistry there, and I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of went away, and then the whole Jesse thing happened, and then when I saw them in bed together. It was surprising, but not at the same time. I was kind of waiting for it, and it kind of made sense now, especially after the last episode where, Michonne was freaking out that she couldn't go out there and help Rick.
Yeah.
So like it wasn't much of a tease at that point in time, but it just shows like that Rick and Carl are major, like family for her. So.
It seemed like the episode was like they definitely flashed forward, I think, 2 or 3 months or something like that.
It was 2 months, yeah.
2 months, okay. So like at the beginning of the episode, it kind of showed him like, she was in a robe and he was just kicking back, and they were just like, it kind of looked like they've been hooking up maybe for a little while, but I don't know. But it just seemed like they were totally family oriented, and they were just getting along, and they dug.
Right, I didn't think anything of it because they basically live all in the same house. Like I think Daryl lives in that house too. Even Carol.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they all remember when they first got to Alexandria.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe by now
they all stayed in the same house. No, Eugene and Abraham and I forget that other girl's name.
Sasha.
Yeah. They're in the house next door or somewhere close, and then all the main group is together. I think
like Tara's staying at Denise's though, because she let on that
right.
That in her sleep, yeah. That episode is crazy. Jesus actually is a pretty major character, and I don't know. I mean, all you Walking Dead fans out there that love Daryl to death, that. I mean, if you read the comic book, Daryl's totally made up. The rumor mill is going right now that Jesus is pretty much going to take over Daryl's role, and that Daryl or the actor is leaving at the end of the season. Like that could be the big to do at the end. I still think, according to the comic book, I still think it's going to be Glenn, but whatever.
Well, I think the actress who plays Maggie let out a big spoiler for me since I've actually read up to Negan in the comic books, but I can't remember the actress's name, but she said that
Lauren Cohen, I think.
Yeah, that's right. She said the season finale for this season was the most difficult and most emotional that she had to do, and when she said that, I was like, oh, something major is going to happen, and then I read up until the Negan part in the comic books, and I'm like, it's gotta be Glenn.
Yeah. That image.
Oh my god, it was still so brutal. I couldn't get that fucking image.
It's right up there. It's actually past Carl's image of his eye.
No, it's way fucking worse.
Way stronger. Yeah.
The thing that happens to Carl is such a quick shock. It just happens, and then it's essentially over because Rick, basically picks him up and carries him off. But the fucking Glenn thing, holy shit.
Yeah, it's a big
build up. It's a huge build up because that Negan guy is such a cynical fuck. like just messing with
Yeah.
them before he picks
You
Glenn.
know who
And
they need to
oh my god,
they
so
they need
gross.
to call they need to call Tarantino to direct that particular episode. Because
Oh
the
my
build up,
god,
Tarantino's the
and
genius
so emotional
build up
too when
guy.
it's happening. Like, oh my
Yeah.
god, it was, you were not kidding when you said it was rough. And I mean, I didn't have a nightmare about it, but I couldn't get the image of the first. Oh my god,
It's fucked up, dude.
so bad.
Lucille is I can't when they show him and they have Lucille, I'm gonna freak the hell out.
Yeah, me too. Me
I'm
too.
gonna
Because I
freak
know
out.
I almost kind of wish I didn't fucking read past, where I did or
Oh,
got up to now,
oh yeah. Well,
because
it
I
might
know
be.
when that season finale hits, holy shit, I'm seriously gonna get up and walk away from the TV.
It could go one of two ways. What if they don't do it? You're gonna be pissed. You're like, wait, where's the payoff? But if they did do it, you're gonna be like, oh my god, like that just
It's
killed
kind of
me.
like if you
It's like,
rewatch the episode of The Red Wedding where you wish it doesn't happen.
no,
Like
I know.
it's just
I've
gonna
only seen
it's
that
just
episode once. I only needed to see that one time. I can't. It's such a strong. Oh my god, that's a huge build up too. Where I was kind of like, I didn't read the books of Game of Thrones,
yeah. I
but
didn't read
like
the books either.
I knew something was up, but I just wasn't sure.
Yeah,
And
because
then
everybody on Facebook freaked the fuck out. And
yeah,
everybody kept
I
saying like, "What the fuck, Game of Thrones?" and like was cursing up and down. There was like no major spoilers, but I knew I had it on the DVR saved, so like I had that mentally.
oh
I had that episode mentally filed away, and then when I got to it, I was waiting for it and waiting for it. And I'm like,
yeah.
okay, well, how bad could this be? And then what some people don't know is that the TV show made that scene worse than it actually was in
In the
the books,
books.
because
Yeah.
in the
Well, they killed a
books
pregnant woman. Shit.
in the books she's not pregnant and she gets away.
Oh, right. That's right.
So
I
so
read
she
about that.
never she was never carrying his son or anything like that. What made the show worse was that she didn't get away and they knew that she was pregnant. So they fucking purposely stabbed her that way in the show and killed the
Right in the
pregnant woman.
stomach. Yeah,
Right.
that was
Like,
awful.
I remember like reading an article about that, and um, George R. R. Martin was saying that I don't know why you guys are complaining so much. My version was less brutal than what HBO did.
Oh gosh, what they've done to like Greyjoy, lopping
Yeah,
his
like
knob
because like at
off and
this,
making him
I didn't.
that.
He said like I didn't kill a pregnant woman, in the in my
Yeah,
version. Like that, it's not as bad as you think.
they do some pretty sadistic things on the show for
Yeah.
sure. I haven't got one of these days. I don't know. Maybe I'll listen to the audiobook since I'm in the car a lot. But I just the show's been pretty hit and miss for me. Like as far as like The Walking Dead's concerned, I think I've enjoyed it pretty much all the way through. But like the Game of Thrones, I know season 2 and even last season just dragged and dragged. I wasn't really that into it. But like the first season was pretty strong, and there were aspects of like season 3 and 4 that were pretty strong. But hopefully they kind of they hit the ground running right when the new season
Well,
comes.
now
And there's like
for Game of Thrones, you know how we read the comics and we were waiting for the whole Carl thing, and we were
yeah,
talking about that last time, and well, now Game of Thrones is all caught up, so everybody's on the same
all
page
caught
now.
up.
Nobody knows what's going to happen next.
I kind of like that. I kind of like being on even ground now with everybody because I have some friends that were diehard Game of Thrones fans. They read all the books and they're just like, "Oh my god, you don't even know what's coming," and all that kind of shit. And I'm just like, "All right," which
Yeah,
kind
now
of
they don't know what's
probably
coming.
some of my friends, that don't read the comic books, kind of Walking Dead, kind of have that same feeling toward me when I'm like, "Oh my god, you don't even know what's happening." They get pissed off at me. They're like, "Shut up," and I'm like, "Well, there's still probably a good another 2 seasons worth of Walking Dead before they, I think, totally catch up. Maybe a little less than that." So, but because I think they're up to 148 issues or something like that, and I think
All right, I've only
where
read
they're
up to
at,
like
where,
98 or something like that.
yeah, so where they're at right now is like 50 to 60 issues back. So, they could drag it out. They dragged season 2 out of
Well,
Walking Dead. That
from the Carl issue to the Negan issue, there's about I think 10 issues.
yeah, it's not that far.
So
It's really not
how
that
many
far.
episodes are left in The Walking Dead?
Of this season, you mean?
Yeah,
I
because
It's a good question.
if
I'd say
if what she
5 or
said, if
6.
what that actress said, Lauren, was that her name,
Yeah,
Lauren? If what
Lauren
she
Cohen.
says
Yeah,
like is why I think it is, because that's when Glenn actually bites the dust. Then they're gonna get through
The
10
first
issues.
time, yeah, well, the first time you see Negan is that image. I mean, that
Oh
particular
God,
scene, which is what a
sick.
fucking entrance, dude.
Yeah,
It's such a it's such like I'm of two minds. One is like, oh my god, what the hell, just I was just freaking out, and then when you kind of think about it, you're like, what a hell of an entrance for a character just to pop up and bam, this thing happens, and you're like, oh my
dude. I was
god,
when I was reading the comic book the other night, and I was on that issue when Negan was introduced. I kept picturing the Walking Dead show in my mind as I was reading it.
right,
Even though I'm reading a comic book, I'm
right,
picturing like Maggie's the actress who is how she's going to react to this. And I was
that's pretty
picturing I
trippy.
was picturing what's the actor's name who plays Glenn?
Uh, Glenn,
Yeah, I forget his name.
Steven, is it Steven Yoon or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was
Steven?
picturing his face, not Glenn's face in the comic
Right.
book.
We tend to
And
do
that was
that,
that's what's that was what was screwing me up, because like I wasn't looking at a comic book. I was looking at a real person in my mind as I'm reading it. Even though I'm looking at a
Here's
basically a picture book, I was still picturing the actor going through that. And it was
Yeah.
rough.
Don't you think that was pretty lazy writing though, that they almost killed him off twice, and now if they actually do what they're going to do in the comic book, that it's kind of like, I don't know, third
I
time's
think
a
it's trying to
charm
like almost like
almost.
giving it, I feel like it was almost giving them like, and if that ends up being true, I feel like it's almost
Foreshadowing.
giving them like a false sense of security that like no, they're not going to fake. They're not going to kill Glenn. They almost killed him twice. They're not going to do it in this one.
Oh, you think they're playing with the
Like
audience that do not read the
yeah,
comic book,
that's what
which
I'm
a majority
thinking.
of it really is.
That's what I
Majority
would
of people
think.
that watch that movie, yeah. I'd say the majority of the people that watch that show have never read the comic book.
Because
Like
if
everybody I talk to, they don't even know it. Half the people I talk to even know the comic book even exists. I'm like, yeah, where do you think they got this shit?
yeah, don't you know everything comes from comic books now? Nothing exists. Like
Fuck,
nothing
man,
real ever
nothing exists
exists.
anymore. It's
Um,
crazy.
if I didn't hear about Lauren, that actress Lauren Cohen again, you
Hmm.
said,
Hmm.
if I didn't read her words about how emotional this season finale was, I would believe in the Daryl rumor, but I don't think it's Daryl. I think
Yeah.
based on what she
What if
said,
God? What if they do a 1-2 punch?
I don't know, maybe that would be way
Because
more
that
well, it wouldn't be way more brutal because Daryl doesn't exist in the comic books.
right, that's true. Well, the Jesus character, who actually they kind of whitewashed him, to be honest, because I think he was Latino. Um, but that character is so wily. He's very like he knows martial arts. He knows
Yeah.
how to like use weapons and all that stuff. And he's like almost like a Houdini. I I kind of believe the thought that he's going to be like kind of like the new Daryl, like when Daryl, because that actor, I mean, at some point it's gonna be like, I'm done with this, I'm out of here. So like when Daryl goes, it's going to be a big to do, but they got to have somebody in there to kind of fill the shoes a little bit. So kind of like, I don't know, Star Wars, we just lost Han Solo, but now Luke is going to feature prominently in the next movie. So that's going to be a big deal.
Again, the actress is messing me up for it, because if you think about storytelling wise, right?
Hmm.
Daryl doesn't have a storyline anymore.
Not anymore. Not
His
anymore.
storyline was he was supposed to go out and find people and bring back to Alexandria. Now that's gone. And like so he
Right.
doesn't really have a storyline anymore. Like everyone else's storyline has done something,
Well, he had the storyline with his brother. Then his brother died. Then he
Right.
had this. I think he had a different story past that I just can't really think.
He had the obsession with
Next one.
finding Carol's daughter, and that was
Okay.
his
Right.
obsession
Right.
forever.
That trying to find Beth, and then
Right. Right.
trying to find people to bring back to Alexandria. And now he's just kind of there's nothing left for him.
Yeah,
There's no.
so I mean,
I
and
mean,
then of course the rumor the actual actor has another TV show starting up too.
That's what I heard. I heard AMC picked up a show from him to do. It's all about motorcycles or something like that.
Hmm.
I can't remember what it's called now for the life of me. AMC is just like giving out TV shows to people. I guess Kevin Smith now is going to have a TV show about
Yeah.
called Geeking Out, or that's the tentative title or something
Right.
like
It's
that with
with
Greg Gunberg.
it's with the
Yeah,
guy who was in
from Heroes.
Heroes, and he is J.J. Abrams' best friend.
Yeah. So, that could be interesting. I'd probably watch that. I like comic book man. I like watching that stuff because I see a lot
I
of
like
cool
him
stuff
in
from my
I like him in
childhood.
that, but sometimes every time when the camera's on him, he just plays up to the camera too much, and that's not how he normally talks.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. When I've seen him on stage, and I love seeing him live. He'd
Right?
always,
Yeah. When we went to see him
really,
in
really
San
good,
Jose.
such a good storyteller. But yeah, when the TV does come on, he kind of animates a lot, and even did that a little bit at Hollywood Babylon when we saw him. But that was a good episode, actually. That show's usually hit and miss, but that show that we went to was pretty awesome
Yeah.
a couple months ago. But yeah, so Walking Dead's, it's going steadily. Dude, but I'm telling you right now, the show that kills it from week to week is The Flash. I'm having such a good time watching that show because they're just doing whatever the fuck they want to do.
Yeah.
And
Somehow
it's
they pulled off
so
King Shark
entertaining.
this week.
Dude, King Shark. He's like what, the fifth or sixth tier like bad guy. Like he's just nobody, but yet they made him cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
He, yeah, I dug that so much. That was just kind of the foil of the episode, but yet they're still not really. I mean, they were able to do an episode of the bad villain or villain of the episode or villain of the week, sorry, and then but still keep the main storyline intact. And what do you think about now that they revealed who Zoom is?
I told you who Zoom was.
Which
Remember, I told you it was that episode.
You guessed it right. I guessed that it was either Barry's dad or it was I had guessed somebody else, but now I can't remember who it was. But you said it's got to be Jay because of the fact that toward the end they played up that whole like pulling him
Doppelganger.
back in.
No,
The
there was
doppelganger
there was
thing.
that doppelganger, and there was that one episode where Jay found his doppelganger, says the dude's name, and I can't remember. I can't remember the guy's name now.
Oh yeah, he was sitting on the park bench.
Right, sitting on the park bench, and he said his name, and I was like, well, that's got to be some kind of significance. And then I remember not looking it up, but then I saw an article the next day that said that's Zoom's like other name, like his real name, in the comic books, and I was
Oh.
like, okay, well, why would they throw that in there if like that's a pretty major fucking thing to put the original name of Zoom, before it became Zoom,
Well, I think
as
because for the
as a
average
spoiler.
viewer, for the average viewer, they probably went right over their heads. So like if the real like people that read maybe the books are kind of new because only the really really higher.
I
up to
didn't.
the
I didn't.
geek-
I didn't read.
geek
I
guys
didn't
knew
read
that.
it. I just know like how those writers write when they're doing stuff like that, and they always try
Yeah.
to sneak in spoilers or Easter eggs and things like that. Not spoilers, but Easter eggs, and because like there's so many things in the Flash and even Arrow where it's an Easter egg, but it doesn't have anything to do
Yeah.
with the plot. But in this case, when they said the name, I was like, I wonder if that has any significance. Like, when we were talking about things that pay off in movies and things like that.
Yes.
Like it's
yeah.
like my mind is like trained for when I'm watching a comic book to like trained to listen for Easter eggs or something that's out of the ordinary that they make it a point to
Right.
do. So yeah, so I was wondering why
So
it was such a weird scene because he had to take Caitlin to the park and show him this
Yeah.
guy, and then
Yeah.
they made a big, big.
made kind of a
big
big
deal
deal
about
about
it.
it.
So that's why I paid attention to the name. I was like, I bet you that's significant, but and then it was revealed that it's Zoom's surname, or yes, is that surname? Whatever.
And yeah,
And then it happened.
but-
and then it happened in Flash. Like it made sense. He was the same height
Yeah,
too. He was the only guy.
yeah,
that
totally.
towers
No,
over
it totally
Barry
makes
like
sense. It's such a great. They're just great storytellers. The thing that I'm the mystery is who's the guy in the iron mask. Who is that?
I don't know,
Who's
but
the one that
but when
he taps out
Garrick's
Jay on the wall?
right
On the glass wall.
when Garrick is dropped to the floor of the cell or whatever, the dude in the mask like freaked out, like he knew who he was or whatever. So I wonder who he could be.
I don't know. It's crazy though. It's it's gonna be pretty awesome.
Yeah, whatever
when they
it ends up
reveal
being,
when
it
they
should be
reveal
pretty
that.
good. When's that
Yeah.
Supergirl episode coming?
A
few weeks, right?
What's yeah. The Flash's cameo on there, right?
Yeah, that he's crossing over on CBS.
I think that's it's such a good idea. I you know, when that first started at the beginning of the year, the season, I remember going, "Oh, I wonder if they're going to do that." And then I thought, "Nah, the different networks and whatever." But they made
I
it
remember
work.
listening to what's the guy's name? Not Berlanti, the other guy who was on Kevin Smith's podcast.
Jeff Johns.
No, Kreisberg. I don't know. Whatever.
Oh,
That guy.
Kreisberg.
Yeah.
Kreisberg.
He's like his partner in crime with these comic books. He was on
Yeah.
that. He was on the podcast, and he said that he didn't think it would happen because they're two different networks, even though they're owned by the same company. So he actually, and he probably did it just to throw us off, because I remember specifically paying attention to that he thought it would never happen.
That's possible. Once they said it was going to happen, I really wasn't surprised. I was more excited. I was like, right on. That's going to be pretty cool, because then it opens up the door to like even Arrow or some future shows coming up, like, you know, even Legends of Tomorrow could cross over. And I think it was a good idea to have the CW characters to go on CBS first. It's almost kind of like a good faith thing, because it'll really boost Supergirl's ratings. Even though pretty much everyone's probably watching that. If they're watching The Flash, they're probably watching Supergirl. It's almost essentially the same kind of thing, the same formula and everything.
You finally actually caught up. So what'd you think? Was it what I said, was it true? That it kind of loses, it's trying to find itself in the beginning.
It's still trying to find itself. Like at first I remember the Calista Flockhart character. I was like, oh my gosh, she's like the Fish Mooney of this show. And she's kind of toned down here and there. Like she kind of humanized her a little bit, and she kind of toned her thing down. But every now and then she'll bring that out, and again, a little too much.
It's not as bad as Fish Mooney though.
It's not as bad as it initially was, so I'm okay with it. Okay with her. The whole love triangle with Jimmy Olsen thing's getting old. His girlfriend's here, and then his girlfriend's gone, and his girlfriend's here, and now she's gone. And I'm just like, really? She was jealous of Superman to begin with, and that's why they bailed. Like he broke up with her, and now jealous of Super. I'm just like, come on, man. Like, who cares?
Well, she is a pain in the ass in the comic books.
Yeah, I mean, it's so. It looks like next episode she's going to be going to the Fortress of Solitude. So I'm wondering how they're gonna.
People are asking
why?
Like stupid questions too. Like, is it her Fortress of Solitude, or no? You idiot! It's Superman's Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, no, it's Superman. Yeah, it's his house. He's just like, come be at my house. Maybe she's on the run, or she's hiding from somebody.
He is on the run. She's on the run, I should say, over whatever the villain of the week is next week. And she only has one safe place to hide, and Jimmy Olsen takes her to the Fortress of Solitude. Okay. And I'm thinking, like, look, I know Superman wants you to grow into your own, but if you're under such a big threat that your life is in danger, that you have to hide out in my crib, maybe I should step in and help my cousin out that I'm supposed to love. That's what I'm saying.
That's why it's really hard. Like I feel like they keep writing themselves in a corner, but I understand in a way, like, why you wouldn't want to call Superman all the time, because then he would just swoop in and defeat everybody every single time. Just like, in Force Awakens, they're like, oh, well, we were going to have, Luke in it, but every time they were getting in trouble, Luke would just save the day. So they're like, let's make Luke the MacGuffin. Yeah. So, Superman, there's a couple times where he's like, do you need any help, cousin? She's like, no. Like instant messenger.
Yeah,
which is so weird. But so weird to me.
Yeah, but it kind of, I like it because that's the little things that keep it grounded. Like, these are like, quote unquote real people, where they still use a phone. They still use instant messenger like we do and stuff like that.
Right,
That's
right.
what keeps it grounded. Zack Snyder, shit like that.
Oh no, we'll just explain everything away and say everything's a multiverse. Fuck. Whatever. That still
But
doesn't really hold a lot of water.
my problem with no Superman and Supergirl is I didn't have a problem with the whole talking and checking in on each other once in a while and her saying no to his help. But my issue with the coming up episode is that if she's in so much danger again, that
Hmm.
she has to go all the way to your fortress of solitude. Like, what? First of all, why didn't you just give her directions? Because taking Jimmy Olsen there is just really logistically a nightmare. Like she's gonna have to carry him the whole way.
Well, again, that's part of the whole love thing.
Yeah.
They're probably going to hook up there. Or something's going to happen. They'll be in the space blanket or whatever the fuck.
But
The
yeah, that's
silver
my.
blanket.
But my issue with the episode is that now that she's in so much danger, that would actually call for Superman to say, I know you didn't want my help, but I'm here anyway, and that's how they would write it in the cartoon anyway. You know.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Well, in the cartoon, she would just call out, and then Green Lantern would show up, and Cyborg would show up, and this guy would show up. I mean, I do like the fact that Martian Manhunter, which I honestly, for whatever reason, didn't see that coming until his eyes started glowing red, and I was like, "Oh shit, awesome!"
I don't think
And then
they
I knew
figured
it
it
was
out
him.
at that point because, again, going back to Kevin Smith's podcast when he was on there,
Hmm.
um, I think it was right after he was revealed that as Martian Manhunter. They didn't
Hmm.
know that they could do that. They thought that he was going to be taken for the movies, and they basically told him no. So that kind of is a spoiler that Martian Manhunter is not going to show up in the movies,
Right.
but they gave them the green light. But that was after the show started, and
Yeah. Yeah.
so they didn't. They actually, I guess, they were thinking something up for him because they showed from the very beginning that something was off with him. But that leads me to believe that they didn't really flush out his character yet, and they had no idea
Right.
until they gave them the green light. And then because they told so little about that guy at that point in time when they decided to make him Martian Manhunter, they could have made up anything, and it still would have,
That's
been
really
easy
true. They must
story
have.
flow.
That's really true. And I'm glad they went with Martian Manhunter, and because he looks sick, he looks really
He
good.
actually looked really, yeah. For a TV show,
Yeah, for a TV show, it doesn't
that
look too bad.
it looked really good.
Hey, it still looked better than Snoke or whatever the hell that guy's name is.
Yeah,
It looked better than that guy.
Doomsday.
Yeah, yeah, he definitely for sure. Speaking of which, um, did you see they have a brand new?
Trailer.
They had a brand new. Yeah, they had a brand new trailer for Batman v Superman that
Yeah,
kind of
it's
vindicated
kinda
it a
good.
little bit better.
It's kind of
Yeah.
good. I mean, the thing that caught me when I watched the third trailer was Batman fighting in a live action movie that I've
Oh
only
dear
seen him ever
God.
fight in the cartoons.
That would have sold me from the beginning. I don't understand DC's marketing is terrible.
Yeah, they
I
should
mean,
hire the people from
look at
Deadpool.
what Deadpool exactly. Look at what Deadpool did. I mean, they didn't need to show. I like one of their advertisements was like, "We've shown you 5% of the movie." I was like, that was pretty funny, but like they didn't need to give away the goodies. I mean, a lot of the stuff was left in the movie that was surprising and awesome and funny and all that stuff. And Superman and Batman, I mean, the sheer just the name alone in the title is enough to bring anybody to the theater. So you don't have to show a shit ton of footage. You really don't. Now, I only believe that they showed that footage of Batman fighting because they fucked up the last trailer.
That's
They're
what I
like, "Oh,
thought
we
too.
got to
That's
win these. We
exactly
got to
what I
win
was
these guys
thinking.
back. We
I
got to
was
win
thinking
these
that
guys
too.
back." Yeah, and instead of having 30 seconds of Luther, we're gonna have 5 seconds of Luther in the trailer.
Yeah,
And no Doomsday and barely any Wonder Woman and all that stuff. And I'm like, that should have been the trailer you should have showed before, and that would have been fine. You don't need to do any more. There's no more you need to show. So,
yeah.
whatever.
But
They
it
got
feels
they got
they're so reactionary to everything that's going on instead of trying to be at the forefront.
everything. Everyone's just like,
I mean,
"Oh,
you just sent me that news this week about about them for some reason, and this is,
Oh, I
for some
know.
odd reason, right after an R-rated movie just destroys box office records, you need to come out before your movie is even out in theaters. Let us
Right.
know that there's going to be a director's cut R-rated version of Batman v Superman. Now,
It's
why is it rated R? Because in every comic
violence
book that I've
probably.
ever freaking read that had Superman in it, it was PG-13
Yeah.
maybe once, and Batman doesn't kill. So
No.
what could possibly be rated R? Superman don't curse. Batman doesn't
That's what
really curse.
I don't know. I think it has to do with violence. So I mean, if I were to guess, it has
But it
something to
has to
do
be.
with
We're talking
excessive violence.
hardcore violence that neither
Yeah, I
Superman
don't
nor Batman would have done, unless he's actually
know.
showing people being blown to bits by all of his goddamn explosions in his movies. Then I don't know what could possibly be rated R, because there's no
Well,
reason for a lot of cursing in a movie like that.
no, but my take is because he had no qualms having Superman destroy an entire, city block or two, that Batman probably, again, he's changing the mythos of the character and all that stuff, that Batman doesn't use guns, Batman doesn't kill people, Batman doesn't, as far as I know, maim people or cripple them. He just beats them up, puts them in jail. So to have him like searing a bat symbol onto someone's chest, or you know cracking necks and doing that, I'm going to be really pissed if they do over the top stuff. Like, when I watched that trailer this last time, it made me think of Arkham Knight, the video game. It looked like
Right.
a video game.
Yeah.
But I
But
liked that
awesome.
style of violence. It looked fucking awesome. It really did. I was like, okay, that's the Batman I've been wanting to see. And it's pulled way back so you can see him really fight. It's not
Right.
all zoomed in like
Yeah.
Nolan's. And so I dug that. But that whole rated R thing just really threw me for a loop, because I'm like you, I'm like, where are they going to show Wonder Woman's boobs? Like, what are they going to possibly do? Which I'm all right with that. But what are they going to do to make it rated R? I firmly believe it's just, Deadpool did it. Oh yeah, we already planned that. We were doing rated R too. It's
Yeah.
just
It just doesn't make
it's horse shit.
sense.
And all along they've just been saying, for months, oh, Affleck's, this is the definitive Batman. Oh, finally you get to see Superman do this. And like all along. And I'm just like, why do you need to push this so hard when all you could just got to do is just let us watch the movie? You don't need to talk about,
Because if it
all that
tanks,
stuff.
do you realize how much PR and how much moving around Warner Brothers is going to have to do to
Let me
fix this?
let me tell you something. If this movie does not beat Deadpool the first weekend, people are going to be shitting on this thing for a long time. They're going to be laughing, and it's going to be a disgrace. I hate to say that, but like Batman v Superman should obliterate any record out there, because it's never been seen before.
Yeah.
You've never seen the two biggest superheroes on the planet be in the same movie. I'm sorry, but like DC characters, I think, are bigger than Marvel characters. I really, really believe that. Like
They
Superman
do
and
have the
Batman
big
are the
three.
pinnacle. Yeah,
Yeah.
Spider-Man's the
Spider-Man's
biggie in
probably
Marvel.
third or fourth.
Yeah, yeah, and I would say Batman's number one, Superman's a close second. That's just how I feel about it.
Well, I
But
mean, Superman was the first superhero, basically. I mean, there was
yeah,
nothing like him ever.
yeah,
So,
75. It's going on 80 years or whatever it is now. So and Wonder Woman's right up there too. Those are the big three, the huge, huge
I
three.
really truly believe that if Man of Steel did, what it was supposed to do, which it didn't, and it wasn't Zack Snyder, you would get a lot more hype for this movie than you're getting now. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are psyched for it because it's Batman v Superman. A lot of people are psyched for it because for some reason people like the way Zack Snyder does movies. And like I said before, Zack
I,
Snyder is awesome at filming comic book scenes. Like he can frame
yeah,
a shot where it looks like a fucking comic book strip.
I
But
was
I can't
never
stand the
psyched.
character development in his movies.
I was never psyched. I wasn't psyched when they hired him to do Man of Steel. I was like,
Yeah,
why
me
don't they
neither.
get Bryan Singer? I was like, get Bryan Singer back. I don't care if he's doing X-Men. Tell him to fucking throw that away and go, well, actually he did what? Superman Returns. So maybe I take that back. So, but when they got, when they announced, J.J. Abrams for Star Wars, I was like, that's brilliant. That's
Yeah.
exactly the way, that's perfect.
You could
And
not
so
have
there was
gotten a
not
bigger Star Wars fan to be a good director.
you couldn't have. And I felt very comfortable for a really long time, and then when they started showing footage, it was like, that was it.
Well, that's
They never,
Disney. They always hire these directors where you're like, wow, that's an interesting choice. Other than when they did who did directed Iron Man 3? Shane Black.
Shane Black, and that movie is a total Shane Black movie. It's all dialogue, and he
Yeah,
worked with he
I don't
worked with Robert
care.
Downey in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is an
Yeah,
amazing,
that's a
really
good
good
movie.
movie actually, but not
I mean,
this.
the
He's
dialogue
not
didn't
right for
bother
that.
me in the third movie. The movie just sucked.
Yeah,
But
yeah. You know,
anyway, but back
well,
to the whole
applaud
Batman.
them for doing different directors. Peyton Reed came on to Ant-Man, and I wasn't really that excited about it because I really wanted to see an Edgar Wright Ant-Man.
Yeah,
And but I loved it. I loved it a lot.
I
So
when I remember when Kenneth Branagh was hired to direct the first Thor. I thought it was a brilliant choice. I mean, I know he never done
yeah,
had done any kind of summer blockbuster movie, but I was like, well, if you're gonna try to bring a god who has, this mythical story and this
hmm
almost medieval or whatever you want to call it, like this
almost
romantic.
Shakespearean.
Yes, exactly. I was like, well, you got the perfect director for it because that guy's gonna be able to build the characters around this spectacle, and
Right.
it worked pretty well. It worked for the most part.
The
Thor
second,
is
yeah,
like you could not have gotten probably a better Thor movie than we got.
I totally agree with you. I went in that movie with little to no expectations, and I came out of there going, that's awesome. They made a Thor movie. That's fantastic.
Well, I mean,
Now he's
again,
part
it
of
was
the
Kenneth
thing.
Branagh directing, so you knew you were going to get some kind of quality. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely,
so again,
absolutely.
but here's the thing: when I heard that Zack Snyder was doing Superman, I got the movie that I expected from Zack Snyder. I got a
Absolutely.
I got a movie that has this fucking overtone on his movies where everything has to be dark and gloomy no matter what.
hmm
And you would get a shit ton of awesome visuals, just tons and tons of visuals, but you would not get character development and you really wouldn't, and there would be a shit ton of plot holes.
No. So name a couple of directors besides Snyder that if you walked in the theater and watched the movie, you're like, I know who that is. I know who directed this.
Michael Bay by far.
Oh fuck. Yeah, yeah,
M.
for
Night
sure.
Shyamalan. Because
M
they have a
Night.
certain way
Yep.
of framing, like they have a certain like color tone and stuff. Like those are right away visually, like you would know,
Yeah.
who's doing that. And Tarantino
The
has a certain way of doing it too.
Tarantino, Wachowski brothers, use or
Bukowski,
brother and
yeah.
sister.
Cohen,
um,
Cohen brothers,
Cohen brothers. Yeah, right away. You're just like, I know, I
Spielberg,
know who this is.
Spielberg.
Spielberg.
Um,
Yeah. No, those are all,
speaking of Spielberg, I finally saw Schindler's List.
you finally saw Schindler's List?
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, I know. I finally
It's
saw
a
it.
hard, you know what though? It's a hard movie to watch. It took me a while before I decided to watch it. I think I waited for it to come out on video actually. Like,
It wasn't as rough as I thought it was going to be.
well, I mean, with The Walking Dead and all this other shit out now, it kind of probably
True.
desensitized
Yeah,
you.
back in the day though.
Yeah.
Was that
Well,
93?
I saw Saving Private Ryan in the theater, and that first 20 minutes, I almost threw up, man. I was
Yeah,
like,
it
this
was
is
brutal.
unbelievably, it was fucking brutal.
You could not have got
You know,
if you wanted to know what war was like, that's probably horrifically what that fucking beach was like.
there were people like from like World War II vets that he invited to watch the movie that were crying. They were just like, that's exactly what it was like. They just like, just holy shit.
For the most part though, that
Um,
movie's not that good.
it's not great. It's kind of
Its
interesting
book
premise
ended
to it.
its book ended with two really great visual battle scenes.
Yeah.
But the middle of the story is not that
It
great.
drags in the middle. It drags in the middle, and like
But
each person
it
gets
sucks
picked
you
off.
in. It sucks you in that when those doors opened on those boats and those soldiers came out. It
Oh
from
my
the first
god!
frame it got you.
Fuck! It's so God that when
That's a
that
movie
soldier
that's
was
hard to watch again
carrying
too.
that soldier's carrying his arm, that's
Yeah.
ripped off. I was
Well,
like, oh my god!
how about the guy who ended up dying in the end battle, where he basically loses the fight and he slowly is
The
getting
knife.
stabbed in the heart. Yeah, that's a rough
Yeah,
fucking scene too.
yeah, it was rough because they could have killed that guy earlier in the movie. They let him go, and then
Or
that guy
no, that
shows
other
back
no,
up.
yeah, he showed up, but he had a chance to save his friend, and he chicken shitted out at the
Yeah,
bottom of the stairs.
that's right too. Yeah, which it happens. They that movie was pretty good in that it really portrayed, war, how awful it is, and how different people react to it. And like Tom Hanks, like what kind of pissed me off, but then at the same time, I was like, all right, I get it. His character just like all of a sudden drops down, like just gets shot and drops down and then dies.
Right.
Like the main character, it almost dives off screen even. Like when he gets shot, it's like
Right.
so fast, and so I was like, oh damn, they're not taking any prisoners on this thing. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Yeah. So speaking of Spielberg, he has a movie called Ready Player One
Yeah,
that he's gonna be prepping. Oh, dude,
that's off a book, right?
yeah, it's a book. I haven't exactly read it, but I've read the premise of it. You got to go read up on it. It's pretty cool, and I think they hired somebody pretty well known to be in it, but I can't remember who it is now. To the life of me, but it had the same date as episode 8, and so it moved.
Yeah.
Episode 8's like, yeah, we can't get the movie done by May, so we're gonna go to December. And Spielberg's like, damn it, you assholes.
Yeah.
I chose that date. Yeah, I mean, duh.
If Lucas
of
was
course
still
they're gonna
directing,
move.
he might have been like, "Fuck it, I'll roll the dice."
Can you imagine that? A Lucas and a Spielberg movie opening, I mean, besides Indiana Jones, but I mean, two different movies from two of the craziest directors. I mean, that would have been amazing. That would have been like a 1-2 punch.
All right, here's a question. Ready? If Lucas directed episode 9, right, and was coming out on one Friday, and then at the same time, Spielberg goes back and directs an ET sequel and is releasing on the same day, and it's Spielberg's.
Excuse me.
It's Spielberg's brainchild. That it wasn't Paramount or who released ET. Was it Paramount?
Oh no, it was. Holy shit! Why can't I?
It's not 20th Century Fox.
You're Universal.
Yeah, Universal.
Yeah.
So if they go back and it's not Universal that's begging Spielberg to do it. Spielberg has a story. He said, "I always thought I would." He says he never will revisit, but something
He
came
cracked
to
the
him.
code.
Yeah, and he comes out. And he's like, "I worked on the story with Mike Stanton, I think is his name."
Well, I'll have
From
to
Toy
stop you
Story.
right there. I'll have to stop you right there because I don't think it doesn't matter what goes up against Star Wars. I'm going to pick Star Wars every time.
Really,
It
even
doesn't
a George
matter.
Lucas directed one.
It doesn't matter. I would I'd still go because it's Star Wars. It's my first love. I'd go to it and then immediately leave the theater pissed off and then walk into the other theater and watch Spielberg.
We'll meet each other in the hallway because I think I would, if that was the scenario, I think I would choose ET.
Really? Like high five each other on the way and like, dude, you're fucked.
Yeah,
Like,
I
that
walk
movie
out of
sucked. And
ET too. I walk out of ET too, all fucking happy,
Smiling.
and crying and shit, like tears of joy. You come out
And I'm
fucking
crying
pissed
for
off
being
and crying
pissed
tears
off.
of anger, and I'm pointing and laughing at you like I fucking told you.
You like see me walk out. You're just like, I don't want to go in
If
there.
that was the scenario, I'd be a betting man to bet on ET being the better of the two movies.
You see me like 20 minutes in, you see me sneak in and sit next to you. You're like, fuck that movie.
You'd be like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I don't know. The movie opened up and they were talking in a courthouse, and I fucking left."
I saw the opening crawl. I was like, "Fuck this."
Yeah.
It's fucking talking Trade Federation
Jar
again.
Jar
God
Binks
damn
is
it!
missing. Has
It's
vanished.
C-SPAN in space again. Fucking Donald Trump is in this movie. I don't understand.
Wait, what? Oh.
Fuck this movie. Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to choose ET.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's good. I mean, it'd have to be something pretty spectacular. I don't even know.
That's why I was trying to figure out like a movie that would be
An
worthy of me,
equivalent.
like not going to a Star Wars movie, even if it was directed by George Lucas.
Listen to the. What would you name that movie though, dude? ET 2? ET
I
2?
don't know.
What would you name that? ET back again. ET back to the forest, or what would you call it?
I would probably name it Elliot.
Oh shit! God damn it!
That's a good one, isn't it?
That's not bad. That's not bad. I would name it. Ouch.
Well,
I would name it Phone Home Again.
That's why you did not name this podcast.
Starring Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin's back in Phone Home Again.
Oh my God, I want to punch you so fucking hard right now.
Well, Henry Thomas, I don't know what happened to that dude.
I don't know.
Guess I see him once in a while.
Dude, based on his audition tape, there's no reason why that dude should not have won like 10 Oscars.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like that. What I loved about E.T. was it almost felt like documentary style. It just felt real. You know what I mean? Like the people, the relationships, and the family, and all that stuff. And of course, E.T. for whatever reason. I mean, I look at it now. And I'm like, looks like a brown turd with legs walking around. But God damn it! When that thing died, I cried in the theater. 9-year-old me was just crying.
I fucking still do.
Yeah,
my dad. Apparently that was my first movie that my dad took me to, but
okay.
I don't remember it. But he tells the story that he took us all to the movies, me and my cousins, and when E.T. died, everybody in the theater was crying, like sobbing hard.
And you're like, why is everyone crying?
And then
fucking
when
alien dude
the
died.
light came on his chest, they cheered equally as loud. Like, I wish I could remember something like that. I wish I could.
I remember it. I remember it. But
did
here's
you get the same reaction in your viewing?
Oh my God! From everybody, the hairs on my head stood up, dude, when that red light came on in his chest. Like for whatever reason, I guess I was stupid when I was 9. Because like nowadays, if I'd go see that movie for the first time, I mean, while I would totally love it, I would know that he would come back to life. Like I would just know that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's it's written in there. I know that's just because from all the movies I've seen, but. As a 9-year-old, I watched it. I flipped out. Like
hey,
that.
Wait a minute. No, because that equivalent to me is this. If I now at this age go and see E.T., I would still be bawling my eyes out because here's why I think that. Because I went to go see Toy Story 3, and I thought they were going to fucking die at the end of that movie when they were about to be put into the incinerator. So like
Shit, you got me.
So I was all emotional there.
Yeah, you got me.
Because if it's that good of a story, you're sucked in no matter what. And that's what E.T. is.
Well, can you imagine those fucking dolls falling into the fire and they die and then it's just like credits and you're like, what?
Dude, I was fucking I remember walking out of that movie and then the fucking nerve of those Pixar guys, right? They just put us through hell thinking that these toys were going to die, right? And then they pull that fucking scene at the end of the movie where Andy plays with the toys one last time. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like a grown man watching this in the movie theater crying. I know. Like
I was openly weeping and my son was sitting next to me going, what the fuck is your problem? Like, what's the matter with you? Because he was like 6, I think, at the time. And he didn't have that sensibility.
Seriously, it was like I got out of that movie, even though it like had a happy ending. I was emotionally drained from watching Toy Story 3.
Yeah, that last 20 minutes was crazy. It's fun because he pulls each toy out and talks about how important or
oh
what.
My God. Yeah,
and
when he got the I was like, good. Oh my God, don't do it. Don't go to Woody. Because like that's when I lost it. I lost it when he was like talking about Woody. I was like, oh fuck. You guys suck.
You Pixar. That movie made a shit ton of money. They're actually doing another one, you know that?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there.
I kind of wish. I'm there too, but I kind of, in the back of my mind, wish they just would have ended it right here because that was such a perfect ending
Yeah,
to every.
yeah. But at the
Such a
same
perfect
time, if
ending.
you got a good story, you know,
Yeah,
why
fuck
would you
it. If
not
they
want
got
to
a good
watch those
story.
guys again? I mean, every Toy Story
Yeah,
movie is better than the last.
yeah. It's a tall order, man. But but if anyone has a good track record besides Marvel, Pixar is like. Although, dude, did you see the Good Dinosaur?
I did. I did see it, and it was actually a pretty good movie, but it tanked at the box
Yeah.
office.
Well, even the worst Pixar movie is still way better than a ton of shit out there. I'm
But
not
here's the
saying
thing:
it's
it was
Cars.
rated pretty high on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's not Cars level to me, but I thought it was their weakest effort since like Bugs Life. It's which is not saying it's still that's a tall order. I mean, Bugs Life is fantastic too, but I just felt like it was kind of a misstep for them a little bit. Like, but at the same time, I was like, you see, I'm of two minds again. At the same time, I was like, they really took a risk to do something really freaking different. And so I dug it for that reason. But I felt
But here,
that,
the only reason why it's a failure is not because of how good or bad, how good the movie is, because the movie is actually pretty solid. It's not. It's nowhere near Cars bad. I mean, Cars is in the 50 percentile on Rotten
right.
Tomatoes. Good
No, Cars
Dinosaur,
2
I
is
think, is
really
like.
bad. Cars 2
I
is the
think.
worst.
I think Good Dinosaur is certifiably fresh.
Yeah.
So rating
Well,
wise, the
uh,
movie was good, but for some reason, people just did not go to the theater to go see
I
this movie.
well, I'll tell you why. Because I almost went. The only reason why I went and saw it because it's Pixar. I've seen every Pixar in the theater, no matter what it is, even Brave, anything, all those movies. And well, Brave was awesome anyway. But I mean, that movie wasn't marketed toward me, Brave. But Good Dinosaur, what I think what kind of turned me off a little bit to it, I guess. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but the animation, like the dinosaurs, just didn't look what I thought they would be, or the little human boy and stuff like that. And I was a little because with the technology and all that stuff, I've seen things just look way better.
Okay,
But
so
as far
what's
as this,
crazy that you say that? It's crazy that you say
yeah,
that because when I was watching the movie, the first shots that you get are of plants and stuff like that, and grass and
right,
water.
uh-huh.
And I'm watching this, I'm like, holy shit, this looks
No, that
amazing.
looked awesome. I'm talking about the
No,
characters. They just did
that's what I'm
not do
talking about.
anything for me.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm getting to that part because
Oh,
it was going up to, you remember it goes up to this shot, that long shot, and then it shows up to the egg, and then it shows the
yeah,
dinosaurs, and I'm like, what the fuck? This looks like Sesame Street characters on top of like Avatar, like the
yeah.
background of Avatar. Like the
That's kind of a
background
good
was
description.
perfect, and then you get these like cartoonish, um, characters. I mean that, but
I don't know.
I
Maybe
don't
it's
know. It
just
just
a
didn't blend
marketing,
right.
dude. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just a marketing because there are other movies that while they don't have the same um I mean, they have the kind of the same story as that movie, like Ice Age. Like there's a bunch of movies that have the exact same plot structure that Good Dinosaur. But what Good Dinosaur, what made it different was that the dinosaurs were kind of the ones that ruled the earth, and they had a sensibility about them. They built houses, they grew food and all that stuff, and that the humans were kind of like these, little pests and stuff that ran around, like little animals and stuff like that, or pets, So that was the one thing that I liked about it because it was quirky. It was a quirky movie, like different, but I just didn't think it was strong, compared to some of their other material.
Well, I
But
think a lot
hats
of
off.
that too is I think a lot of the movie. I think the problem with the movie, it's not bad. Again, it's rated like in the 70s or 80s on Rotten Tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
However, here's the movies that are in The Good Dinosaur when I saw it. Lion King, that was in it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that was in it. Lilo and Stitch actually were kind of in it because the way
Lilo
the
and
kid
Stitch
moved
kind of
around.
had, yeah, I kind of got that more. I mean, Lion King was kind of obvious because he comes back and all that stuff growing up and all that.
Right.
But the Lilo and Stitch reference, kind of because it was it was so quirky. Like, I remember when Lilo and Stitch came out, I went and saw it because I was like, I'm really interested to see what the hell this thing is because it was
Right.
a weird
It actually
mishmash,
works. That movie actually
and it
works.
worked really, really well. Yeah, I was really impressed with that. And that was Disney animated, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you know, again, Pixar's. I'm not saying this is their worst movie, but definitely, I think box office wise, it's their worst.
Yeah,
Even
it is by
below
far.
even below Cars 2, I think. Um,
I
but
think
their
Inside Out probably
standard
had a lot to do with it too, because this is the first time they released two movies in the same summer.
that I think it's oversaturation. You're right. I think that possibly can even happen to superheroes if they don't spread them out a little bit, or even Star Wars. But um, I I think you're totally right. That had probably a big
Because
deal to do
I
with
think
it.
Inside Out is probably one of the best Pixar movies. It's probably in
you
my
can't
top five.
fucking you can't compare the two, dude. Like Inside Out is just fucking amazing from
Yeah,
beginning to finish. It's so like it's just genius. Like these guys spent years probably developing that because it's so complicated yet so simple. I can't even explain that movie to people. I just have to say like you just got to watch it. And
yeah,
if you have a kid, be prepared to bawl your eyes out at certain
yeah,
points.
yeah.
You know,
Pixar,
and if
the
you and
really
if
good
you
Pixar movies really know how to gut punch you.
yeah. Well, and if you have a daughter, which I know you have two, you're going to be crying even harder
Yeah,
because yeah, I mean, just the way I cried in Toy Story 3 because I have a son, that killed me for that reason because I have a
right, right.
kid. Um,
How about
but
in the begin? How about Up? Speaking of gut punching, the first like 10 minutes of Up.
unbelievable storytelling,
I didn't
man.
know about. I
That
didn't even know that was happening. Like I knew nothing about the movie going in. I just knew it was Pixar. I'm watching this
the
little
only
cute
thing you know
couple.
about they hid the marketing campaign was brilliant for that because all they showed was a fucking house flying around in balloons. I'm like, I'm in, dude. That looks awesome. And what they presented was something I didn't even know I wanted to see. And the beginning is so gut wrenching, but so beautiful at the same time. I just like these
I was crying like
motherfuckers.
I was like
Yeah,
crying
you're
10 minutes into a fucking cartoon movie.
right. And then they turn around and turn this into this adventure, with crazy characters and a crazy bird running around and dogs going squirrel and
Right.
all these memorable things. I was like, how the fuck did they do this? Like, this is genius. It's something so out there. And they do it every fucking time.
Yeah.
You know? Um, I'm so jazzed. I cannot wait till Brad Bird pulls out Incredibles
Incredibles
2.
2.
I'm so fucking excited for that.
It's still probably one of the top 5 superhero movies of all time for me.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what Fantastic Four should have been.
Yeah.
Just people are like, "Ah, Incredibles ripped off Fantastic Four." I'm like, "Well, fuck, who cares? They did it better." It's
Yeah,
like
you've had 3 chances to do it and you fucked it up 3 times.
0 for 3, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time, big time. So, yeah, gosh, what else? There's so much stuff out there. I finished up X-Files. I don't really need to talk too much about that. They're actually, I heard somewhere, I think it was
Coming
like
back.
today, that they're
It looks
wanting
like
to
they're
come back.
setting it up with those 2 young agents.
It looks like that, which okay, they did that before and it didn't work. But they kind of left it on a cliffhanger, so they've got to bring
pretty
this
big
thing
one,
back
too.
next year. Yeah, so they got to bring.
What if
yeah,
the
they got to
fucking
come
6
back next year.
episodes tanked and you left it on that?
Yeah, man,
That was betting a lot on the fact that the 6 episodes would do really well.
it was betting a lot. Like you think if like Heroes Reborn did that, they would have been confident about doing that. No, like Heroes Reborn's canceled again. Sorry, Heroes.
Well, apparently Tim Craig or Kring, whatever his last
Yeah,
name is,
yeah,
he said that Heroes Reborn was only supposed to come in on those.
going to be a
and-
one-off.
Yeah, so I think it's still on my DVR. I haven't watched them.
He would not be saying that if that was a ratings bonanza. He would not be saying that. He would have been like, "Oh yeah, we're coming back," or "Yeah, that was awesome." Whatever.
Well, I gotta watch
So-
it because if the season is self-contained, then I believe him. If they leave anything open to interpretation, then there was always that.
Well, good.
There was always that hope
good
that
luck.
it would blow up.
We'll talk about it when you're done. I watched the first 3 episodes months ago when it came out, and it just carries on the same fucking boring waiting around what's going to happen, like come on, kind of thing that it used to do. And that drove me crazy. So I thought, when they were doing this one-off, like a 12 episode thing, I was like, oh, right on. Like this is the way they should do it because they could tell a better story in a short amount of time. They don't have filler episodes and all that. But holy shit, dude! For whatever reason, 12 episodes felt like 50. Just come on, come on, you know, let's get going. And they had really good cast members in there, like really awesome people. They got Zachary Levi who played Chuck. I love Chuck.
Yeah.
Um, Such an awesome show. If anyone's never seen that show, watch it on Netflix. 5 seasons of pure joy. It's just just a quirky show, that just worked for whatever reason. I don't know. It was good though. I liked it. Yeah. So anyway, I'm cool. The X-Files just kind of, it opened up strong and then just kind of ended in a wet fart. Like people are talking about it. They're like, cool, that was awesome. We hope they come back, but it's not like over the top. Holy shit, I can't believe this.
They definitely introduced like a bigger conspiracy.
They do. They need to do 8 episodes next time, and they need to pump some money in this thing and make it really make the production value like Game of Thrones high, like really, expensive, and make it awesome, or something. Make it an event, because this felt like an event, but at the same time, it kind of drowned in everything else that's going on. They need to do something. I think Netflix would have been a stronger way to go, but whatever. Speaking of Netflix, dude, fucking Daredevil, god damn it.
Yeah.
You see the there's 2 trailers out right now. One's features the Punisher, which just looks awesome. And the second one that I watched today features Elektra, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, I think they did her justice. It's not some stupid Jennifer Garner thing.
Yeah, I'd still never seen that Elektra movie. I might have to before Daredevil comes back, but I'm definitely going to be binge watching something at the end of that March, and it's going to be Daredevil.
Yeah, I can't decide which one's worse, Elektra or Catwoman. That would, that's kind of like, do I see George Lucas first or Steven Spielberg movie first? So which, I don't know. Like, I can't pick between Elektra and Catwoman, but I could tell you that they're both really fucking awful movies. Like, big time awful.
Catwoman probably is the worst superhero movie I've ever seen. And I've seen the Dolph Lundgren Punisher, and I've seen the Nick Fury with David Hasselhoff, and I will break you. And I've seen.
Oh, Hasselhoff was Nick Fury.
You forgot?
Oh, I forgot about
saw that like 1980 something Captain America where the guy was wearing a rubber suit.
Right, and a Red Skull look. Yeah, he was wearing like a rubber mask.
I've seen
that's a Roger Corman.
Those movies, and
hated
I think Catwoman is worse because of the star power, basically. Like,
when they cast that,
shit. They're all equally shit, but you had Sharon Stone and Halle Berry.
Sharon Stone? Oh, you mean Michelle Pfeiffer?
No. In Catwoman, Sharon Stone.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the different Catwomans. No. Sharon Stone was in that movie too. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
her acting is horrible.
That's why I think. Well, that's why I think that movie is worse than those movies, because you had legitimate actresses in that movie, and the plot was fucking stupid. First of all,
they all made him like Fish Mooney. Just way over the top acting,
and the story was just awful. And for those things, I think that's why Catwoman is the worst superhero movie I've ever seen.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you,
because I don't even know who played Captain America. I mean, it was David Hasselhoff playing Nick Fury, so that in itself is pretty comical.
Was his chest hair hanging out? Was he running down the beach?
I can't remember, but he did have an eye patch.
They're remaking a Baywatch movie, right?
And
not remaking. They're doing a beach with The Rock and somebody else. I can't remember.
I might actually see that movie because The Rock's in it. So
I love The Rock.
Yeah, The Rock is one of those guys where I know, like, no matter what the movie might not be great, he's going to be good in it.
Yeah, even San Andreas. I went and saw San Andreas, and I didn't think it was going to be anything.
It was basically the disaster movie I thought it was going to be, but I like The Rock, so.
Yeah, I like The Rock in it, and his daughter that plays in it is pretty good looking.
Yeah, she's pretty ridiculous.
I saw True Detective, and I'm like, oh my god, she's in San Andreas. I gotta watch that movie.
I like the wife, Carla, whatever her last name is.
Carla Gugino. Yeah, I just watched Sin City, and she's in that. Oh, holy shit.
She's awesome in everything too. She's good in things. The first time I ever not met, the first time I ever saw her in something was at
Pauly
that
Shore
Nicolas
movie.
Cage movie. Oh yes, that's right. I forgot she was in that.
Son-in-law.
Yeah,
Son-in-law.
son-in-law.
I
But
fell in love with
then,
her then, dude. I loved her so
oh,
much back then. It
that's
was
a good
so
movie.
good.
That was actually a pretty good movie.
It actually was a good
Son-in-law.
movie. Pauly Shore in good movie is an oxymoron, but it's actually a good movie.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's too funny. God, memories popping up like crazy. Speaking of which, I mean, just really quick, I was working today and a student came up to me and said, "Hey, man, what'd you collect when you were a kid?" And I said, "Well, that's pretty easy. I collected Star Wars figures." And he's like, "Well, did you collect any type of cards?" And I said, "You know what? I'm embarrassed to say this, but there was a summer in '86." That me and my friends, for whatever reason, thought it was cool to go down to the local gas station, ride our bikes down there with a quarter. We'd each have a quarter, like four of us, and we'd slap it down and say, "Give me one of those Garbage Pail Kids packs." And they had them behind the counter because they wouldn't have them out front because they were so popular back then that people were stealing them and shit. So they had them
Yeah.
behind the counter. So we'd buy them and then we'd trade them. Oh, I have that one. I have that one. And they were just gross looking. You know, they were kind of like total anti-Cabbage Patch. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep. I collect
Because
those cards too.
yeah, because they've actually made a comeback. There's like series 3 or 4 right now or something like that. But series 1. So anyway, I said, you know, Garbage Pail Kids, and he had this smile on his face, and he pulls out a Garbage Pail Kid card from 1986. It was 30 years old, and I'm looking at it, going, holy shit! Like this flood of memories came back, and I'm like, are you giving this to me? And he's like, yeah, no, have it. And I was like, oh my god, dude, like that's awesome. Like I never thought I'd ever see this again. You know, because I sold my collection like years ago. I sold a long time ago. Well, because one day we were in LA, like me and my cousins, and I mentioned to them and they're like, oh shit, we like that too. And they bought a whole box from Toys R Us, which had the whole set in it, you know, like 2 sets, I think. So I had the whole set and I sold it, I think back then for like, it was like $50 to some kid or whatever. And now I read somewhere that it's upwards, I think a series 1 mint sold upwards of 4 to 5 grand.
Fuck.
And if you have just regular cards, like this kid that gave me a card, if you had a full set, they were worth like $500 to $600 if they were just decent, you know.
Oh, fucking A.
I know, man. It just goes to show kids, save your toys, leave them in
Save
their
everything.
boxes.
It's like that.
Save everything.
It's like
30
that
years from
Mark
now, you're going to be a
Hamill-
multi.
It was not Tales
You'll be a
from the Dark
40-year-old
Side.
virgin.
No,
Yeah,
it
you'll
was
be a 40-year-old virgin.
No, it was that Mark Hamill. Not Tales from the Dark Side, but Amazing Stories.
Amazing stories.
Where,
Well, I'm sure
Hamill
everybody
plays
out
the guy who the leprechaun or whatever told him never to sell any of his stuff, but he
That's
didn't become
right.
rich until he was like 70.
That's the problem. Like right now with oversaturation of toys, none of this shit's going to be worth anything later on. But you know, I've told my son, I'm like, he's pretty cool. Like he doesn't like opening things and pulling things out. So like all of his shit, his Star Wars shit, is all boxed up, perfect, you know, and mounted somewhere for everyone to look at it. It's not shoved in a closet. But yeah, the funny thing about Mark Hamill, I mean, every Star Wars fan knows this, but Mark Hamill signed an agreement with Lucasfilm way back when he wanted to be Luke Skywalker, that in his contract, he got to have one of everything that was made, Star Wars. And they said, sure. Going, whatever, dude, you fucking idiot, you know? And he's laughing all the way to the bank, too. I mean, that guy's got warehouses filled with Star Wars. He says, like, every other week or every week or something like that, there's a truck that pulls up full of Star Wars stuff. That's insane. Like for the last 40 years, he's got shit, probably more than anybody on the planet, you know? And I always thought, God, man, Mark, you need to open up your own museum. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. We've gone pretty far.
Yeah, that's why it's called the casserole episode.
That's why it's called the casserole episode. You know, we're going to have these once in a while, folks. We're going to have we're just going to sit down and talk about whatever we feel like. Just know we have no idea where the conversation is going to go, and that's kind of the way we do it anyway in real life. So, not that this isn't real life, but you know what I mean.
So you just have to deal with it.
You just have to deal with it. But we're gonna all next month is a bunch of goodies. All gonna be. I don't know if we want to reveal some of the stuff right now or what's coming up.
Still a few months away. Still a couple of months away, so let's just wait. But good things are coming.
Well, the
bigger episodes are coming.
big episodes are coming for the time to come, but next month definitely is going to be an all Batman Superman month with some other goodies in it. So I look forward to. Can't wait to watch Men of Steel and rip that shit apart. But yeah, so we have some good stuff coming up. But yeah, awesome. Double digits. We did it. Episode 10 in the bank. I'm BJ.
Vic, later.
Later.